everybody, welcome back to the Craft Beer Hub. I've got another beer review for you, and it is of this. This is the Vedett Extraordinary IPA. I picked this up in France a couple of months ago. It's been chilled ever since, so it should be in good condition. It's a 5.5% beer in a 330 bottle, and I can't remember what I paid for it, if I'm honest. It probably would have been around the €253 mark. Vedett then, they are brewed obviously by, you can tell the shape of the bottle, Duvel. And this is a very common shape, but obviously the same shape on the Vedett bottle as it is on the Duvel bottle. They're obviously down in Belgium. Duvel is a cracking beer. Vedett Blonde, which is probably where you would associate the name Vedett, or the extra blonde, should I say, is a very, very good beer. I actually quite like that beer. If I'm out of craft beer, which doesn't happen very often nowadays, but if I ever find myself out of craft beer, I'm either buying the Vedett Blonde or the Sierra Nevada Pale, depending on what I want, really. So I was excited to see this in France, and I thought, so I was going to swear then, I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick it up. So there we go. I've had it out of the fridge now for about 15 minutes. It actually says on the bottle here to drink around 6 centigrade, which probably is that fridge, or this fridge that's just down here. It's probably about 4 degrees, 2 degrees, 4 degrees, something like that. And it's been out of the thing for 10 minutes. Basic maths, I suppose. 6 degrees makes it sound about right, doesn't it? Let's get it open then. Boom, there we go. Slight smoky bottle opening. Let's get it in the glass. Bit of a dirty glass, I have to say, actually. Anyway, let's go. I found, one thing I will say, when I was in France, I found a lot of the IPAs, they almost had this weird off flavour. And by that, I literally mean, you know, like the kind of Belgian continental yeast that kind of gives some kind of funky flavours? Pretty much every IPA, they were using that yeast in their IPAs, and it kind of gave a nice soft tasting IPA a weird twang, and I wasn't a fan of it. So I'm hoping for better out of this. I don't know why I'm hoping for better. Maybe because it's from Duvel, but I am. What have we got in the glass then? It's a hazy, slightly darker than straw coloured beer. No sediment in there at all. Slow moving carbonation, real subtle carbonation in there. One finger white foamy head. That just looks cracking. That's kind of how I expected it to look, actually. Yeah, looks really, really good. Let's get an aroma then. Oh, it's kind of got a creamy wheat characteristic. I can tell straight away that kind of, there is a kind of bit of a twang in there, and I think this is obviously the Belgian yeast again, or the continental yeast. Does give off a nice sweet malty aroma though, I will give it that. In terms of hops, because it is an IPA, I'm not getting a lot of the hops. It's kind of got this banana-y wheat beer aroma to it. Ah, definitely citrus. I'm really getting through it now. I'm getting through it. Think sort of lemon ice cream. I'm getting, it's quite creamy. It's definitely got a creamy aroma to it with a bit of lemon. Think lemon ice cream. But yeah, it smells okay. It kind of smells what I expected it to smell like. Not maybe how I'd like my IPAs to smell, but after all, don't buy a Belgian IPA if you don't want this aroma. Cheers, everybody. Right, it's not sweet at all at any point, I will say that. It starts off really malty, almost like wafer malts rather than bready malts. And the flavour, there's no real flavour that comes out crazy out of this beer, because it does have that kind of, yet again, I say it again, that kind of continental yeasty twang all the way through. I don't drink a lot of continental beers, so when I do have a beer like this, it's a real headbender. That's why I had to have 2 sips to really find some flavours and trying to figure out where it all fitted. But yeah, wafer malts at the start. There is a middle of citrus, creamy citrus, I will say. And it kind of fades away into nothing. And you do get kind of an astringent bitterness at the back. Almost metallic. Not much of a fan of this. At all. The mouthfeel's great. I think it's a yeast thing. Brewers, get in the comments. I think it's a yeast thing, which it almost creams up the water. The mouthfeel is really good, I'll give it that. But there's just not a lot happening. There is not a lot happening. I think it loses a lot of those wheat beer kind of aromas I was getting in the when sniffing the beer. They've disappeared in the taste. Bit of citrus, then it just goes. Then there's that metallic bitterness. Poor. Not. I mean, I'm back in I'm back in the UK. Oh, that horrible metallic thing. It's just really hit me now. I'm back in the UK, and I bought a few beers back from France when I was over there in June. And I was really, really gutted I didn't buy more of some of those beers. Excuse me. But this beer, I'm not gutted. I just don't think. I think the continental, the way they brew their beer and the yeast that you use and the brewing methods that you used. Excuse me. For me, from what I've seen so far, don't tend to suit the kind of softer tasting beers, the more delicate beers, because these beers just get dominated with this kind of yeast, this continental yeast thing. And this particular beer's the only thing that lets you know it's got hops in it is that citrus thing, and then there is a bit of bitterness, but it turns metallic. I don't think it's Duval's finest hour, this beer, if I'm honest. I really rate the Extra Blonde. I really, really like that beer, but I just think the continental guys really struggle to brew these kind of more delicate beers, because the Belgian beers especially are harsh, aren't they? You can't drink. Personally, I say you can't. Personally, I can't drink a lot of Belgian beer. I find it really, really aggressive in its taste and its style, that it doesn't lend to sort of session in it. And plus, nearly everything's about 6-7% anyway, minimum. But yeah, not for me, if I'm honest. Let's have a look at the bottle then. It's kind of got a nice, kind of classic looking orange, white, and green label with the walrus on the front. Vedett Extraordinary IPA. Taste, multi flavours, and extra hops in a single bottle. Yeah. Ingredients: water, barley malt, hops or hop, glucose syrup, yeast. Yeah. Honestly, not for me. I wouldn't recommend you buy it. I don't think it's anywhere near the quality of what a craft beer drinker would be after. I'm going to rate it as a 2 out of 5. I wouldn't recommend buying it. I really wouldn't. But I say that because that's my personal taste. It just didn't suit me. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Let me know if you've had this. Is it even available in England? I imagine it is somewhere. But yeah, not the finest hour from Duvel for me. Yeah, there we go. Like, subscribe if you will. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.